Welcome back to our series on your psychic senses and how these connect with your everyday life. Everyone is intuitive, and the more you learn about the different ways that intuition shows up and speaks to you through you, you're going to recognize that you have more psychic abilities than you think. Today, we're going to talk about claircognizance, which is psychic knowing. And if you want to learn about the rest of our psychic senses, you can check out my entire playlist about the psychic senses. But today, we're going to focus on claircognizance, knowing. This sense is, I think, the strongest for everyone, but it's the one that is the most difficult for people to trust. And I find that the other senses help us start to trust that claircognizance. The more you start to learn about the different intuitive senses, you see how they all work together and weave together. And we break them down just to learn about them. But in practice, you're usually using a combination of a few at the same time. Claircognizance or psychic knowing is exactly what it sounds like. You just know. Think about when you just know you love someone. Nothing happens exactly. There might be a moment where you know, but no one's telling you you love this person. You feel that, right? You know that you love this person, or you are with someone and you just know this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. You just know. You walk into a room and you have a feeling, you just know I should leave. Or you suddenly just have this knowing, I feel like I really need to be at this place. I need to be at this event. I need to talk to this person. You're overcome with the knowing. I need to know, right? Or I know I need to be there. So it really is as simple as it sounds. All day, every day, we have this knowing within us that guides us. This is our internal resonance system. This is our intuition guiding us to where we're supposed to be and who we're supposed to be around. The problem with this one is this is the one that is really tough for people, like what I said at the beginning, in terms of trusting, because we have been so trained and conditioned to give evidence for everything. And I think about myself in school when I was younger. I would just know the answer to things, and I didn't know how I knew that. I would just know things about people. I knew the answers to the test. I would know the answers to the math problems without doing my work. And I just knew it. And I would get in trouble if I didn't show my work, or I would get in trouble if I didn't cite my source. But the way that I arrived at that knowing wasn't from a different source. I just knew it, just came through. And so our knowing can come through in our everyday life in terms of decisions that we're meant to make, like just knowing where you're supposed to be, or knowing who you need to talk to, or knowing what you want to do. You'll feel that knowing within you, within your heart, but it can also come through as factual, objective data. Like you might just know a date of something, or you might just know someone's name and you don't even know how you know that. So this is slightly different than seeing it. And let me use the example of someone's name. I could get that information intuitively by maybe seeing that name written in my mind's eye. So maybe the name is Tyler because Tyler is with me recording. I could get that name intuitively by seeing that in my mind's eye, Tyler, or I could hear it intuitively through my ears. I could hear Tyler. It might sound like my own thoughts, or it could sound like a spirit guide, but it can sound like my own thoughts, so it's Tyler. But I could just know. And your knowing is typically, it's going to come from your body. I find that your knowing is very much like your torso based. It's coming from a deeper part of you. You can connect back to your heart with this, or even in your gut. And there's certainly, again, overlap between your knowing and your other senses. There's certainly overlap between knowing and feeling. Those two tend to go hand in hand, but feeling has such an emotional layer to it, and or like a physical sensation if it's goosebumps or something like that, versus knowing, you just know. It's that automatic I just know. But again, because we've had so much conditioning to explain ourselves, to justify ourselves, to give evidence, a lot of us have been trained out of trusting this. Now, the more you start to trust this, the stronger the muscle gets. And again, your claircognizance will work really well with your other gifts. Some of these other gifts will help you start to trust what you know And what you know is going to help you interpret some of these other gifts. So for example, let's say I'm intuitively seeing something in my mind's eye. I will have a knowing connected to it about what that means. So I'm not thinking about the interpretation. Let's say I see in my mind's eye a pomegranate. Now, there's a lot of different meanings to a pomegranate, but my knowing is going to tell me what that means. And so my knowing, I see that and I have a knowing of, this is about fertility. This is about a fruitful time. This is about abundance and luck. Or maybe this is, maybe you should look into eating pomegranates. Maybe you need some pomegranate juice. Maybe this is about your hormonal health. Like, my knowing is going to help give me a lot of data connected to what I'm seeing. So that's what I'm saying about how these are all connected. Now, these I also find are stepping stones to really fully integrating your claircognizance, and these ones down here too. The more you trust your other senses and the more you start to integrate those and utilize those, you'll probably start to notice that you become primarily claircognizant. And I know for myself, I don't even use these other senses very much anymore. I can if I need to, but I just know things because I'm integrated enough where I can just bypass it, because all of these are just helping us get to this knowing. So this is so much about trusting yourself. And if you want to develop this, it's just like any other sense. One, I do find that the internal work related to, all of these senses is really important, but especially with this is about trusting yourself and trusting what you know. So deconditioning anywhere that you have been told you cannot trust yourself. In order to allow yourself to practice with this, you're going to have to play the game of yes and. You're going to have to play the game of just trusting yourself. And this can be a powerful thing to journal on, just to come into your heart space and say, what do I know? Write down a question. What do I just know about it? And you have to give yourself that permission to not judge yourself. You have to give yourself permission to be wrong. Just practice it with yourself. But when you come up against decisions in your life, practice asking yourself, what do I intuitively know here? What's just coming through immediately? And again, I would really drop into your heart space with this. You want to get out of your mind. And I think it's really helpful for people to kind of track where they're orienting from in their bodies. Most people don't pay attention to this, but if you're trying to go to your brain or your head for what you know, that's not the right place. Go down into your body, go down into your belly, go down into, your stomach, into your gut knowing, but really I like to go into my heart, but just somewhere down here of, I just know how I feel. I would really think about times in your life when you just knew. It could be, this is coming up for some reason. I think about where I went to college. I just knew where I wanted to go. And I never did any research. I never did any pros and cons lists. I just knew where I wanted to go to college. And I always knew where I wanted to go. And no piece of me second guessed it or thought maybe I should go somewhere else. I just knew where I wanted to go. And that's where I went. And I never really thought twice about it. Or I think about meeting certain people who become really close friends of mine, or people that I have dated, or people I've hired, where I meet them and I just immediately know, like, that's the person. We're going to have a great relationship. I just know those things. And so I would really think about the things that you have just known in your life and how that felt in your body, and compare that to things that you have overthought. Compare that to things that, looking back, you're like, maybe there's some red flags that didn't really pan out as it was supposed to. Give yourself that reflective time to compare these different times, because there's different layers of knowing, and people think about knowing as coming from their head, but we're talking about your psychic sense of knowing. It's just an intuitive knowing. I just know this is correct. I just know it's not. I think about, again, for me, this came up so much in school. When I was young, through college, through school after college, there were things that I was taught, or I just had this visceral, like, no, like, that's just not correct. Something is off with this. So think about times when you know something is off. That's a good example, because that usually stands out for people. I think with your body, it's another place where this comes up a lot in terms of sometimes, um, you can look at all the different ways you can take care of your body, with exercise, with diet. And I always come back to, there are things that my body just knows, no, I don't want to do that. Like, no, I don't want to go in the cold plunge today. But today, yes, I do. I just know I want to. I just know I want to do this, or I know I don't. It's a really subtle muscle, but it's happening all the time. And the more we start to trust it, first we have to listen to it. We have to pay attention to it. Then we start to trust it and act on it. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So a big piece of me developing this was, like I said, just recognizing what I did know and then practicing saying yes to that and following it in my everyday life with simple choices. Use this for when you're getting dressed in the morning. I just want to intuitively know what to wear today instead of thinking about it logically. Play with simple choices. What do I want to eat right now? I'm at a restaurant. What do I want to eat? What's on the menu? Practice using just your knowing. Practice in these areas where it's not super high stakes, so that you're building that muscle of what your body just knows, what you just intuitively know. And over time that gets strong enough where with bigger things, you have a really fortified trust in yourself and in your psychic knowing. You just know. We all just know certain things. So this is one of the most important psychic senses to really pay attention to. It adds information and flavor to all of these other senses. It gives us a lot more information. It is reflecting back to us where we trust ourselves and our confidence in ourselves and where we don't have that. So it can be a tricky one for people at first, but the more you flex it, like all of these, they're muscles, the easier it's going to be to trust yourself. And when you have that trust fortified, it is one of the greatest gifts you could give yourself. And it's going to enhance everything else you do. So if you find that you already play with some of your psychic senses, but you second guess yourself, I would really practice dropping into your heart and using that muscle of your claircognizance. So that is the overview of claircognizance, one of my favorites to look at within people. And again, the stronger you get in some of the others, you might notice it starts to collapse, and you really just work off of this because you've learned to really trust what you know from the field. If you are interested in learning more about these and turning on more of your abilities, you can check out the other videos in this series. It'll be in a playlist on YouTube. I also really recommend my Awaken Your Spiritual Abilities guided energy work in Next Level You. You can just download the CTC app. We'll put a link below for that. And you can get a 7-day free trial. You can sign up right through the app and go to the Awaken Your Spiritual Abilities guided energy work. And that will just start to move energy in your field to open up whichever of those gifts is really ready to turn online in a new way. That will complete our little mini lesson on claircognizance, and let me know how it goes when you start practicing.